listening to Randrews Live, the podcast with your host, Randy Andrews. On this podcast, we're all about the music and the stories. Each episode, Randy takes different music tracks and puts them to the stories and events of our everyday lives. It's like building a soundtrack to your life and then rock out to it. But it's not just about the tunes. We also bring out guests to share their stories, and we'll give you a behind-the-scenes look into the life of a full-time entertainer. From the sold-out shows to the green rooms, we're here to take you on a wild ride. So grab your headphones and get ready to jam. Here's your host, Randy Andrews.
All right, how is everyone doing today? My name is Randy Andrews, and you are tuned into Randrews Live, the podcast. And today I have a very special guest with me. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the podcast extraordinaire, current teacher, Mr. Bill Van Vaghel. Bill, how's it going?
It is doing great. I'm out here just east of Toronto, and we've been through snow, windstorms, holidays, crazy weather. I've had a week off. I got a week to go. Everybody out there, I hope you're doing well.
Perfect. Awesome. So today we are going to talk all about Bill, what he's been up to. As a teacher, you get a little bit of break there. You get a little downtime, kind of recharge the batteries. And also, he's got a couple of podcasts out there. We were talking behind the scenes here, and one of his podcasts, he just recorded a 10-hour episode.
Yeah, I'm on two podcasts. I'm a co-host, and one of them's called Land of the Creeps. In Land of the Creeps, we review movies thematically every 2 weeks. And we had our 300th episode. The podcast has been going since 2010 or 2012, I believe it is. I wasn't there at the beginning. I've been there for 5 years, but It's been going. It was episode number 300. And our listeners are very loyal. They love it. And so we had one episode where we said, for 300, you just call in, you ask us questions, and give your own thoughts, etc. Over 2 nights, it's 9 hours and 47 minutes, I believe. And our listeners can't get enough of it. So if you like a nice long listen, something that'll get you through your entire work shift, pop in Land of the Creeps. Our normal episodes are 4 to 6 hours. They're on the smaller side.
Honestly, Bill, I got a show coming up down in Nebraska, and I've got to travel. I think it's a 6-hour car ride one way. Yeah, and that's without having to make my pit stop. So I'm gonna have to tune in. I'll put that 10-hour one on one way, and we'll catch the back half on the way back home.
But if there's anybody that listens that likes horror movies, Land of the Creeps, thematically we'll do anything from dark fairy tales to splatter horror and everything in between. So nice. Land of the Creeps is great. And I'm on another podcast called Phantom Galaxy with my co-host Nathan Bartlebaugh. And we do horror, sci-fi, fantasy, action. I have a sub offshoot called Strange Frequencies where we go over music. There's television, there's books. As my co-host says, we're the Russian nesting dolls of podcasting.
Love it. So what between the two, I'm just gonna throw a question out there for you, Bill.
Sure.
Between the two, do you prefer doing the spin-off where you get to kind of take a little break from the movies and get a kind of venture into TV, some music, or do you prefer just being there present?
I just go with the flow. I love watching movies. Last year was a down year for me watching movies. I only watched 351 films. 2 years ago, I watched 500.
Oh, wow.
But I'm also the other one of the other things we're talking about, things about your life, etc. I'm a huge sports fan. So okay. I decided to, make sure I got all my hockey, my football, my basketball, my college, all of that in there. So Sometimes you have to sacrifice one from the other.
Right. Yeah. Kind of diversify a little bit, but still
diversify. Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. So I'm going to throw a hot take out there for you. For the last year of the 351 movies you caught, what is your top movie of the year of all of them that you caught and you watched?
Well, we just did on Land of the Creeps and Phantom Galaxy our top 10 movies for 2022. Yeah. My number one was The Sadness.
Okay.
Which is a South Korean zombie infection horror film, which
right.
is completely fascinating. It's on the graphic side, which
Sure.
doesn't bother me. I love graphic. I love zombie. I love infection films. That was fantastic. The other one I finally got, it's so nice to get back to the theater again.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And in December, late November, early December, I saw Terrifier 2 in the theater.
Okay.
With Art the Clown. And I just, it's a gore fest delight. It's an absolute fantastic film to see. Are you going to see deep depth characters? No. But are you going to walk away going, yeah? I sure as hell did.
I'll be honest with you. When it comes to horror films, I love them. I love the suspense. I love the story behind them. But as far as the gore goes, I'm like a little kid. I hide behind my hands. I poke my eyes out like, okay, blood splatter, we're good.
But the beauty of the genre of horror, because it encompasses everything from suspense to paranormal and ghosts to aliens to sci-fi to fairy tales. Like there's, body horror. If you just like slashers, like it encompasses everything. And it's one of those things where it's kind of like people that like heavy metal. It gets a bit of a rap, but the people that within the community are very open, very welcoming. There's something for you.
Yeah. Well, and I like it when you're watching a horror film and they sprinkle that little bit of comedy on top. Like, they really just say that? And it just kind of brings you back, and then they roll back into it. It's just
like if you watch a movie like Shaun of the Dead.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Shaun of the Dead is in the same category as Terrifier 2. They're both horror films, but they are very different films. And and some of them you can bring your husband, your wife, your lover, whoever it is, on a date, or you can just sit one late at night and watch.
Yep.
And that's what I love. And what I love about the horror genre is I love it when it gets your adrenaline going, the hairs on the back of your neck stick up. Some people don't like that feeling. I love it.
Yeah, it's different for everybody. I know. After I get done watching a horror film, and this is just the inner child in me, I think I'm almost too pumped up that I can't sleep right away. Yep. So I put on. I used to put on like old school cartoons, like some Tom and Jerry, some Bugs Bunny, old school Looney Tunes. Now if my kids hear me up, they'll have me watch one of their shows, Bluey or whatever. But it kind of mellows me out. Like, okay, coming back to reality. It's not real. I'm not gonna have a zombie break in, and if I do, like,
and it's funny.
I'm not prepped for that.
We talk about our life journey, and I have a 7-year-old daughter, Ella, and she can sit and watch Evil Dead with me.
Really?
Because she knows that I say it's just ketchup and jam and sugar, and she doesn't take anything up. But when she watches the Disney films, she'll cry.
Really?
Because, you probably know with your daughter or son that in every Disney film, there's some sort of changing event. There's some sort of crisis. Somebody's taken away from a parent. There's a fire. There's an evil godmother. There's something that's a crisis that's in real life can be a lot scarier than a ghost behind, somebody who's died.
See, I have my 9-year-old daughter. She wants to watch The Conjuring 2.
Okay.
One of her friends, she loves that movie. That's her favorite movie all the time. And she's one of those that she lives in her imagination. She's got a great creative mind, and she would buy into it 100%. My 7-year-old, she can watch it and wouldn't faze her, but kind of on the same level that your 7-year-old had. She watched one of the Harry Potter movies where Dobby dies, the elf, and she lost it. She bawled hard, and she bought into the character too much. And it was too much for her to handle, but
I was going to say, we've come to realize my daughter is what they call an empath. She's very empathetic.
Yep.
So she understands the motivations of the characters, and if there's a few of them where like even dogs get taken away from a family and they get sent to the pound or what have you, she'll cry with that. But if somebody gets a knife through the shoulder, she's like, oh, Daddy, can I go get a donut? No big deal. It's just the way kids' minds work,
Yeah. So I'm going to throw a curveball at you right now, some music.
Awesome.
Since we're talking kids, we're talking, our daughters, our family. The first horror film you saw, I'm going to take you back. We're going to a little time travel here. let's go walking out of the theater, walking away from the couch, and Blockbuster's probably big. That's when I saw my first big movies, or grabbing a bucket of popcorn from Blockbuster in a movie. And I want you to walk away, think back to that time, walking away from that movie, put a song to it, like a little kind of movie montage. You're walking away, a song's playing in the background, kind of score that for us. What song would you pick out?
Well, see, the first one that popped into my head is Maximum Overdrive.
Okay.
And Who Made Who by AC/DC.
Okay.
And Who Made Who is, I love AC/DC. They're maybe my third all-time favorite band. Seen them live multiple times. Fantastic. And so that's the first one that popped into my head when you said, name a song from a good soundtrack from a horror movie. Now, some people might argue Maximum Overdrive isn't the best horror movie. Some people like it, some people don't. About these trucks that have lives of their own at a truck stop in the middle of nowhere. But it's a great pump-up song, and it's fantastic.
Love it. Awesome. So if you are listening right now on YouTube, make sure you hit that link down below. Go check out AC/DC, Who Made Who. And if you're on Spotify, you're going to hear it right now. There's a thing going around, kind of a petition, more or less, to try to get 13 Ghosts as a Netflix series. Have you heard anything about that? Or have you seen that?
I've heard reference to it. I've seen the original multiple times. Fantastic movie. Fantastic. Anybody who's never seen 13 Ghosts, the original, is it going to scare you? No. But is it worth a watch? Absolutely. Spooky, watching in the dark, black and white. They remade it in, I don't know, 1991, 1992, something of that nature. That's a good one too. That's worth watching. But this one is if they want to make it, I'll watch it. Yeah. But the funny thing is I'm not one that I really don't watch a lot of TV.
Sure.
I watch movies and I watch sports because with serialized television, you have to keep up and you have to feel the need to keep watching them. And I don't have time to keep up. And if I want to watch episode 6, I have to watch the 4 before it or whatever. And that's the beauty of a sporting event. It's done, on to the next one.
And if you miss it, there's highlights and there's a box score.
Yeah.
There's so with this with 13 Ghosts, they're taking the remade version with Matthew Lillard and Tony Shalhoub, I believe, was in it. I'm drawing a blank on it. Nadia from American Pie, whatever her name was. Anyways, they're taking that story because on the special features on that DVD, that was my favorite horror film growing up. My mom bought it as like the $5 Walmart bargain bin.
Okay.
And we had just moved into this old farmhouse. But like each farmhouse, it was the rooms were square, and they was all like right next to each other. So it kind of reminded me of like the containment cubes where they kept the ghosts. And it kind of freaked me out when we first lived there. I was like, oh, I shouldn't be watching this movie this much. But with the special features, they do a breakdown of here's who this ghost was in the past, and here's why they're trapped here now. So it tells the backstory of them, but it's like a quick little written blurb, like an audio book. And what they're talking about with what they're trying to get with this new Netflix show is each episode is going to be one episode for each ghost. And then the last one, they want to do a remade version of it, kind of a more modern take on it.
Oh, so you're kind of getting the backstory behind each ghost, their motivations, what got them there, why they're haunting people.
Yep, exactly.
You get like a character breakdown kind of thing.
Yep. So then, so I was going to say, so then you don't have to go back and you don't have to watch each episode. You can just watch the new remade version. If you're like, oh, why was the torso? Why was he like that? And then you're like, oh, I can go back and I can check that episode that's attached to the show.
So you can skip right to the end if you want.
Yeah. If you just want the payoff, the full movie, you're there, and then you have something great to watch. And if you want an hour or 45 minutes to an hour of the backstory and kind of buy into the characters a little bit more, kind of get it from their perspective, you can.
That's interesting. Yeah, the remake I said was 1990. It was like 2000, 2001, I think it was.
Yeah.
And the original was 1960. So I know there are some people that of a certain generation, or just because of the presentation of it, don't always give the older movies a chance. Give them a chance. With the lights out at night, in the dark, let your partner go away, or if you're a single person, just sit and watch it. Sit in your pajamas, put it on, get some popcorn and a cold beverage, and just enjoy.
Yep. If I'm not mistaken, I think the original version, when they came to theaters, they had technology that they were using. It was kind of like a 3D technology, but they had like the old school cardboard 3D glass where you put them on to see the ghost, kind of like you would in the movie. And in the new version of it, that's what they have. That's why the characters, I guess the 2002 version, the characters when they're walking through the house are wearing glasses. And it's kind of paying homage to the old version, the original version.
Well, the original version is a William Castle film, and anybody that doesn't know William Castle, he was the king of promotions. Like some schlock. He'd do things. He had a movie out with Vincent Price called The Tingler, where underneath your chair it would buzz, or they'd have like vomit bags, or they'd have ghosts that would they'd string them from the back of the theater and they'd rush to the front, and the people not suspecting he was the king of the promotion. So William Castle films are always fun, whether they're schlocky, yes, but are they fun? Yeah. Absolutely.
Honestly, I wouldn't mind getting back to some of that in modern times. Not necessarily your campy 3D 4D movies that you get where little water splashes on your face watching SpongeBob on a ride, but like having that interaction within the theater, it takes it from just being a movie to being a full experience now.
Yeah, it becomes it's like nowadays they have those seats in the theaters that move back, they'll massage your back, they'll do a
yep.
Well, what's the at a certain point, if you're watching a movie, how about a little jab to the stomach? How about a little buzz to the bottom? How about a little tickle? I'm all for it. I would pay an extra $5 for something like that.
Oh yeah. Well, around Halloween, they always have the Rocky Horror Picture Shows where people do they'll act it out along with watching the movie, and there's cues for the audience to throw rice, and let's bring some of that back. The theaters might not like it for the cleanup purposes, but I think it'd be fun.
Hey, if they're getting enough income out of it, they won't mind the cleanup.
Oh, for sure. Awesome. So, looking at you kind of brought up some sci-fi, and there's a horror-esque movie, I guess Disney put out or I guess Marvel put out. Have you seen Werewolf by Night at all?
Yes, I have. Fantastic. It was only 45 minutes.
Yeah, 45 minutes.
45 minutes. Yep. I really enjoyed it.
My daughter came out. She goes, "Oh, what are we watching?" I said, "It's a new Marvel thing that just came out." And she goes, "Oh, okay." She sat down. She goes, "What's wrong with the TV?" I said, "Nothing. It's in black and white. It's how they wanted to film. They wanted to give you a different perspective." And then the last few minutes, she goes, "Oh, okay, now it's in color. We're fine again." But
yeah, I really like that one because I'll be straight up. I'm not a Marvel guy. I'm not a superhero guy. I don't watch them. I find them pretty cookie cutter boring.
Yep.
So whenever I see Marvel, I kind of take it. There's a bit of a hesitancy. Sure. So I went into this one like all the others, and you're like, okay, wow, this one was pretty darn good. Yep. And there's a bit of creature feature, a bit of werewolfy, a bit of mystery. There's some character, all in 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I enjoyed it.
Nice. All right. So I'm going to throw another song your way. I want you to come out with a song for me that you think listeners would want to listen to or come up with. If they're sitting there scrolling through Netflix, through Hulu, Disney, Amazon, going through a library catalog of music, you see people just kind of scrolling through, kind of like a thinking song that you would pair with that. What song would come to mind for you?
So a song about choices or things to watch,
yeah,
or something. That's a great question.
Get a few of those every now and
then. Yeah. You put me on the spot. I don't mind being put on the spot. It's just I have a song that comes up with it. Okay, now I feel like I'm sitting here. You know what? I'm always going to go with Rush. Rush is my all-time favorite band. And if you want a good song to get you moving and motivated and get you thinking, The Spirit of Radio by Rush. Because it takes you back to that time when radio was the promoter of music. and the song deep dives and says, is radio now really what it's all about? Are the artists there wanting to promote their music, or are the people that are running the radio trying to take advantage and tantalize you with little gifts and little things? So is the music what's really what it's supposed to be? Is it altruistic, or are people just out there to sell records?
Yep. And honestly, that's a great pick there. For those of you who are not familiar with Rush, we're going to get you a very good leadoff sample for it. We're going to play that right now for you. If you're on YouTube, hit that link below. If you're on Spotify, we're going to throw a little Rush your way, The Spirit of Radio. Check it out. Let us know what you think. All right, so we are back with our guest, Bill Van Vaghel, and we're going to pause on the movies real quick, and we're going to jump over to another love of both mine and Bill's. We're going to talk a little sports, some sporting action. Bill, with being up in Toronto, that area, do you find yourself watching primarily Canadian teams, or do you kind of bounce back and forth? Do you watch NFL and CFL, or?
I watch all. I'm what you call a sportsaholic. If there's a field, a ball, a referee, I'm going to watch it.
Yep, I'm the same way.
I pretty much have said the only sports I don't watch, I don't consider poker a sport. That's something you do in your basement with your buddies with beers and pretzels.
Yep.
So is there money involved? Yes. Is there skill? I'm not saying it isn't skill. There is skill involved, but I don't consider it television watching.
Right.
The other sport I don't watch is sailing.
Okay.
Sailing, I just, it's white guys on a boat,
Right.
Now, again, there is skill involved. I know people that sail. There is challenges and physical elements to it. I just don't find it entertaining. And the other one that I enjoy doing but don't like watching is bowling. Bowling doesn't.
Honestly, I'm the same way. If bowling's on and I need to take a nap, I'll pop it on and I'll take a good 30-minute nap and I'll check the final frame.
There was a time when bowling was on quite frequently, and that's going back a generation of some of your listeners won't even remember bowling being on television.
Yep. One of the things when ESPN throws out kind of like the ESPN, the Ocho, your weird little sports there's some that I thought, this is like the spelling bee. When they throw that on there, I'm proud of those kids. It takes a lot to, that's their mental prep, but I'm not going to sit there and watch it. But if there's a beanbag tournament or cornhole, depending on what part of the country or world you're at, or the one sport that I was like, there's no way, like this isn't good, rock skipping.
I've never heard of that. What's rock skipping?
It's where
you mean across the water?
Yeah.
They actually televise that?
There's like a 3-day long week. It was like a long weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, where they threw out 24 hours of these weird, ridiculous sports that no one's ever heard of. They're not going to get mainstream. And there's this guy, I was glued to the TV for an hour watching guys skip rocks. And this one, I want to say he hit it. It's like 34 skips across the water.
Wow.
Like there's no way.
I'm lucky if I get 4.
Yeah. I go for the big splashes myself, but that's the inner child in me. But no, this, there's a lot of crazy things that are going on in sports this year.
Have you seen the British? I think it's mainly Britain where they roll cheese down a hill and they have to chase the ball of cheese.
Yep, I've seen that one. That's worthy of watching.
Sure.
If you need a good laugh, there's another one where it's a husband and wife race where the husband.
Where they put her on her back, put him on her back. Yeah.
Yep, I'll watch that.
I'll eat like a hot chili eating competitions.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
My wife hates it when the 4th of July rolls around. It used to be, hey, everyone, we have to stop and watch the Macy's Thanksgiving parade around, on Thanksgiving. And it's kind of the same way with me with Nathan's hot dog eating competition. Watching Kobayashi and Joey Chestnut just wolf down 70 hot dogs in 8 minutes. Like, my wife walks away. She thinks it's disgusting. She can't watch it. And like,
I mean, how can those guys? How do they feel for the next week?
Ooh, yeah.
How many tablets of Tums or Pepto-Bismol do they have to get down?
That's all they're drinking for the next week. But no, there's with sports this year, there's a lot of different things
Yeah.
going on. A lot of controversy with the NFL as far as like the types of fields that they're playing on. There's a petition going around that I think they're going to try to ban turf fields and go back to either like an authentic grass. The NBA, Luka Doncic, he's been going crazy. He had I just saw a statistic. He posted, over the 6 games, he had a 40-point triple double over the course of 6 games.
Well, last night I saw the highlights, and Donovan Mitchell, 71 points for Cleveland.
Yep, I saw that. Yep,
71 points. And then at the same time, I was flipping over, and I'm in the final of one of my fantasy leagues. And then there's the event from the Cincinnati Buffalo game.
Yep.
And I mean, it's a horrific situation. I understand completely why they closed it. Thoughts and prayers and positive vibes to the Hamler family.
Yeah.
And, but it's a sticky situation for those involved in fantasy because they're in the championship finals and there are teams with players on both sides. But I mean, that takes a back seat, obviously, to the human component.
Right.
But I know the NFL is a machine. It's a business. So it'll be interesting how they play this out.
Yeah, we'll see how the dust kind of settles out of the incident there.
Yep.
But no, there's I saw this video. There's an NBA player that was talking that he said Kobe Bryant had warned the NBA 15 years ago that if the NBA, if kids that are currently coming up, if they don't start focusing on fundamental basketball and fundamentals instead of trying to be flashy and go for throw into the back of the and one mixtape tour behind the back, between the shirts, all that. If they don't start focusing on fundamentals and just building from the ground up, that the U.S. is going to lose the sport of basketball to other countries. And right now, the top 3 players in the NBA, Luka, Jokic, and Giannis, they're all European, and it's just one of those things where you got to kind of stick to the basics and go back. But you don't have to be fun and flashy to be fun. But I will tell you this, though. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, people of a certain generation might have heard the name Michael Jordan.
He rings a bell.
But anybody who right now is listening, who's maybe in their early to mid 20s, look up players like Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. Some of these players that fundamentally could do it. Magic Johnson played all 5 positions at various points in his career. Isaiah Thomas, again, always kind of got the overshadowed by some of those guys. Have they ever heard of a player called Bill Laimbeer? I mean, would Bill Laimbeer survive in the NBA today? Would he be able to step onto the court?
Yep.
He would throw a couple elbows, and John Sally would get in there, and Dennis Rodman, and they would be suspended.
Oh, in a heartbeat, yeah.
Every 3rd game.
Well, I love hearing the controversy of the who's the real GOAT in the NBA. Is it Michael? Is it Larry? Is it Kobe? Is it LeBron? Some of the big guys that get overlooked, like Shaquille O'Neal, he had a great career. Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell.
How many kids these days know who Hakeem Olajuwon is?
Yeah. Well, I was helping with a basketball camp with my daughters, and I brought up the Dream Shake. And there's a kid who literally asked me, did you get that at McDonald's or Dairy Queen? Where can I get that milkshake? It sounds good. I was like, no, it's a basketball move, man.
Or, you bring up John Stockton.
Yep.
There's nothing wrong with passing the ball.
Yeah. Being a pass-first player, looking out for your teammates, and playing hard-nosed defense.
I mean, put on a highlight reel of Steve Nash.
Yeah.
Like these kind of players. I mean, Steve Nash might be towards the end of that era, but those players, if you're a pass-first player, you don't get the endorsements, you don't get the media coverage. But if you can maybe only score 9 points a game, but 3 of them are flashy dunks, you're going to get the TV coverage.
Yeah. Or you look up Jason Williams.
Oh,
I think his nickname was White Chocolate back then. He's dribbling down the court, and he does a behind-the-back pass off his elbow. There's things that's a little more on the flashy side, but he was still a pass-first player, and or like a Muggsy Bogues, 5'3", Spud Webb, 5'5", winning a dunk competition.
I was going to say, how many people would know who Manute Bol is?
Right, they might know Bol, his son, but you bring up Manute. or you bring up play a clip of Dikembe Mutombo. Like, well, I don't know who that is, but he sounds like Cookie Monster.
Finger wave.
Yeah, they'll know the commercial. And that's.
Is he on a commercial these days? I think.
Yeah, he did a commercial, and it was the whole finger wave. Like people were trying to throw garbage away, and he'd swipe it away, and he'd go no no no, or he'd someone try to grab their food from the drive-thru, he'd come running by and grab it, and he'd swipe and say no no no. So, but yeah,
my first love was always hockey.
Okay.
I played hockey from the age of 5 till the age of 16. And you realize at a certain point you're not going anywhere. And I never thought I was. You know, you play at a certain level and you're not going anywhere. I got tired of getting up for 6 a.m. practices.
Yep.
And so hockey to me is always my first love. I can watch hockey. Like there are certain sports fans, regardless of the sport, that will only watch their team. I'm a Chicago Bears fan. I'm an Atlanta Hawks fan. I'm a New York Yankee fan. I can watch anything. Like, do I like watching my teams? Absolutely. I'm a Green Bay Packer fan. I'm a Montreal Canadian fan. I'm a Toronto Blue Jay fan and a Toronto Raptor fan. But can I watch any other game? Can I watch the Cleveland Indians against the Minnesota Twins? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Can I watch the Cincinnati Bengals play the Tennessee Titans? Absolutely. Right now, going on in the world right now is the World Junior Under 20 Hockey Championships, which I've watched ever since I was a kid. I will watch Slovakia versus Austria. I have no problem watching it because I'm a sports fan. I'm not just tunnel visioned, and if it isn't my team, I'm not watching. So, you know, it drives my wife crazy. I can watch darts. 180! I love watching.
Nice.
Totally fascinating. And they've come in now they're almost like wrestlers where they have theme songs coming in and they call themselves, to me, it's just, a couple guys had a couple beers at the back of the pub and they're throwing darts. Yep. But the crowd will, if you watch the darts, they'll be like at not a stadium, but like a hall with like 3,000 to 4,000 people.
Oh yeah.
And they're obviously in libations. They've all had a couple pops. Because you can see the waitresses in these big pictures being passed around. But they're there. They paid to watch people play darts.
Yep. Awesome. So we're going to throw a song. I'm going to throw a curveball, another one your way. Sure. I'm going to put you back in the days of hockey. We're going to say, say you stuck with the game. You played it. We're at overtime of the championship game. Thinking back to like the Mighty Ducks movies. And you've got what position did you play? Were you?
I played left defense.
Okay, so let's say you're we're gonna say you're the last defender, the last person to stop the puck. You pulled the goalie, tried for the flying V, whatever you want to throw out there. You pull the goalie. You're the last line of defense, and as the buzzer's going, you make a diving slide. You knock the puck away, and your team wins the championship because of your save. What song is playing in the arena at that moment that you saved, you win the game, your team won the championship, that is hand selected by you?
I mean, can you go with anything else other than Queen? We Are the Champions.
You could, but it just wouldn't feel right.
No, you can go back. I mean, you can find, there's a song by Bryan Adams called We're Gonna Win, which I don't mind. But no, you have to go with Queen, We Are the Champions.
Love it. Yeah, just the way that the way Freddie hits that, and it's the way I really like the version where they combine both We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, just kind of threw that full mix in there. But just We Are the Champions alone, that's honestly, whenever I make a playlist, Queen has at least 3 or 4 songs on it, and We Are the Champions is one of my top songs.
I was chatting with some of my friends and to intersperse with music, because I know this is a music podcast. Yeah. Which singers of all time have just that voice as the consummate lead singer? And my list came to 3. I think Freddie Mercury is number 1.
Yep.
I think that Paul Rodgers from Bad Company and Free is number 2. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of the band, I think Journey's Steve Perry, his voice was phenomenal.
Yep.
And
those are great picks. I know if I had to look at it, those two, Steve Perry would make it just because his voice, it's there. Freddie is obviously number one for me. I had one.
I know Roger Daltrey had a hell of a voice too.
Yeah,
he could carry a note.
I know there's a big crossover with or big uproar with Sammy Hagar and David Lee Roth with Van Halen.
Yep.
And there's definitely a switch there, but I know one band that Queen's one of those bands that they're still kind of touring. I think they're kind of on hiatus right now, just recouping from the last one. But I know Adam Lambert filled in for lead vocals there, and he does an all right job. He's got the range, but it's not the same without Freddie. But,
well, it's ironic that when Queen, after they obviously went on hiatus after Freddie died,
yeah,
and the guys being creative creatures that they are got back together. The first guy they called back was Paul Rodgers, because really? Freddie always thought Paul Rodgers had the best voice.
Yep.
So he toured with him for a little while, but then I think he went back and did his own things. And he got back with Bad Company, and then that's where the road to Adam Lambert kind of took off. Yeah.
So we are going to throw out there right now, Queen, we are the champions. Relive those glory days back in the put your old jerseys on, grab your letters.
I thought that was a cue to Bruce Springsteen. Glory days.
Oh. We'll throw that one on some bonus content. Little Bruce Springsteen will be on the back end of the podcast. But here is Queen. We are the champions. Awesome. So, Bill, let's go back into. We're going to kind of transition and let's talk back with some movies. Maybe do a crossover with some sports movies before we kind of jump back in.
Okay.
A little different take.
Sure.
All right. So we're back with Bill Van Vaghel, and we are here. We're going to transition from talking sports to jumping back into movies. So we're going to talk sports movies in particular. Bill, throwing out there, what is your, if you had to pick a top 2, top 3 all-time sports movies?
Oh, sports movies I really love. Now, the caveat with sports movies is either they're done well or they're super cheese.
Yep.
Like it's either the kiddie type or just the silly type, or they're done fantastic. Probably my favorite sports movie. Oh, it's tough. I'm going to go with 3.
Okay.
And not with any particular order. Just depends on what's on at the time.
Right.
I love Hoosiers.
Yep.
Hoosiers is fantastic. Slapshot is a fantastic. And a lot of people think of Slapshot and they think of the comedy. Yes, there's lots of comedy to it. But there's a dark side to that film as well.
Oh yeah.
And so, the other one is got to be Rocky.
Right, the original?
The original,
yeah. Yeah. I know we had a foreign exchange student from Russia, and we were driving to a basketball tournament, and we had a charter bus because it was we were in the playoffs, and someone brought as a joke Rocky 4 on. And
is that the one with Ivan Drago?
Yeah. Yep.
That's the Drago one. Okay.
Yeah, and he had never seen it, and he goes, "It's all right." But we did turn it back over. We're watching sports movies after. Hoosiers is definitely
I love Hoosiers.
For me as a basketball fanatic, that's a classic. If you love basketball, you got to be able to watch it, sit through it.
And the thing with Hoosiers is it tells a great story, and it's based on a true story. I'm sure they Hollywoodized it up a little bit, but the acting is so strong. Gene Hackman, Barbara Hershey, Dennis Hopper is the drunk father who comes. Oh, it's super. I love it when they finally make the state championship. Yep. And here's this from this little nowhere town in Indiana, population 300. And they get to the big place of Indianapolis, and he goes, "Okay, boys, you know what? This stadium, this court is the same size as the one at our own gymnasium." And he pulls out the tape measure. Yep. Okay, let's go.
Kid on the shoulders gets the basket the same height.
And they've got like the pennies that are, $3 from Woolworth versus the guys from Indianapolis that are all fancied up. And at the end of the day, if you can play, you can play.
Yeah, I'd say. This was the year of the pandemic. As I was getting ready to go on tours, doing some comedy hypnosis shows, and one of my shows was supposed to be at Butler University at the Butler Fieldhouse, which is where they filmed Hoosiers.
Was that where they filmed the final?
Yep, that's where the final was. And I had an opportunity. I was going to be able to perform there live, and I was going to go out the day before and get pictures, and then the pandemic hit and kind of shut all that down. But
it sucks.
Yeah, so I'm working on getting back there.
Was it Hickory?
Yep, Hickory.
That was apparently. I don't know if the actual gym from way back when is still up, but the high school's still there.
Really?
Apparently. I mean, I don't think the town disappeared, so I think
right.
They probably memorialized it. Obviously, updated it since 1954 or whatever it was.
Right.
But I'd love to. Any listeners out there from there, please send Randy some pictures. Let's see this place.
Yeah, definitely pictures of the school if it's still standing, and if you're listening over around Butler, go in the field house, get a picture for me, post it up. But yeah, I would say Any Given Sunday is probably my all-time favorite football movie. I don't know if you've seen that one with Jamie.
Yeah, I have. It's been a while. For me, it's probably The Longest Yard.
The original or the Adam
Sandler?
Sandler?
Original. Oh, not the Adam Sandler. No.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't know about that, Bill. But yeah.
No, the original is fantastic.
Yeah. I say the Sandler remake, it is what it was. I enjoyed it. I watched it. I had the DVD, and but yeah, the original with Bert. Yeah. Where they and they had all the Ray Nitschke and all those guys came out, and they have the game at the end with the warden and the jailers and Yep.
Gritty, dirty, grimy, good fun.
Yep, absolutely. Now I think as far as baseball goes, I know was it my favorite is Bull Durham. Yeah, Bull Durham's there. I know growing up, my mom always she'd throw out Angels in the Outfield.
Okay. Yeah, more of a kids movie, but
yeah. But the reason with that one was the Tony Danza went to college at University of Dubuque for a while, which is in Iowa, and my aunt actually knew him back then. He is I think it's on his right or left arm, one of the two. He has their mascot logo tattooed on it. Okay. But a lot of the players that were in Angels in the Outfield and in Field of Dreams, they were all local from the Dubuque area, the eastern Iowa. So. Or Field of Dreams, actually. I've actually been on the movie site several times. It's about 3 hours from my house, and it's a good movie.
Was it last year they played a regular season game at that field?
Yeah, so they did it last 2 seasons.
Oh, 2 seasons.
Yep, the first season that they did it, Kevin Costner walked out of the cornfield.
Oh, did he?
Yep, and he didn't say much. He had a ball in his hand. He just looked around. The place is packed. I think the Yankees. So the Yankees Red Sox was the first year, and then last year was the Cubs and Reds. And no, that was really cool to see and watch. And this last year, I don't remember who they had come out, but they did another little thing where they walked out of the cornfield. The players, they had each side come out and then met at second base, and they kind of fanned out and waved to the fans, and it was a cool moment. But no, those are some good movies.
Is baseball your number one sport, or is football or basketball?
I'm kind of like you. I'm a sports fanatic. Basketball is tops for me. I was a basketball coach for a while.
Put you on the spot. All-time favorite player.
All-time favorite player. Scottie Pippen.
Scottie, you like the understudy, or not understudy. That's to devalue him. You like the one that didn't get nearly as much credit as he probably deserved.
I like the unsung hero. Yep. Scottie was all-time defense, right up there with Michael. He did everything that Michael could do. When The Last Dance came out, I was a little disappointed to hear some of the stories about his attitude on the bench, where that he wanted the last second shot and he didn't get his number called. But as far as playing goes, if Jordan is Batman, then I want to see a Robin movie. I love Scottie Pippen when he was playing. I think he was.
You want the Watson to Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, exactly. I love that the 90s era basketball, where it was pure. You had players. There's no super teams because players were loyal. Well, I shouldn't say there's no super teams because you had the Jazz had their big three. The Bulls obviously had their dynasty era, but Shaq and Penny were getting things started.
But it's funny you mentioned 90s era basketball. When I was in the 90s, I was just kind of into my late teens, early 20s.
Yep.
That's my area. That's when the Toronto Raptors started up.
Yep.
And so I got to watch the formation with Vince Carter, Tracy McGrady, kind of coming up, and VC. say what you want about him. The guy worked hard, and boy, could he dunk a ball.
Oh yeah. I was watching highlight dunks last night. I was bored. I got to that weird part of YouTube. I was watching highlight dunks with Vince, and he made the number 2 on the list. I think the top one was like Danny Green. He had an alley-oop come to him, but it was the power when he dunked it down. The net, it kind of exploded up like a volcano erupting, and it didn't go side to side. It went straight up and came down. But for Vince Carter, they said, yeah, we couldn't pick one, so here's a montage. It was like 2.5 minutes of just VC dunking it.
I mean, you always think of the one at the All-Star game where he dunks it, and then like the Shaquille O'Neal sitting there watching just goes, oh, look, it's a 10. Like he just shakes his head like nobody's going to,
Yep. I think my favorite one was in the Olympics, where he turned around, he grabbed a steal, and he posterized the defender.
There was a French defender that was like 7 feet, and he just flew right over him. Just
nothing to it, and
he's
that era of basketball with the 90s era up through when Kobe was coming through, and I'll watch it now. I still love basketball. Football's probably number 2 for me. I'm also a Packers fan.
Oh, nice.
Do
you think they're going to win? Beat Detroit?
I do. I was surprised at the game against Minnesota.
They looked fantastic.
They had everything clicking, and I figure as a big middle finger to send Green Bay packing in their season at home, beating a rival that would have been a good story for Minnesota.
I gotta say, I didn't care for Jair and the little gritty or whatever, and just do your job and get back to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, just catch it, just go leap, call it good. But no, they're. I get why he did it. He was kind of in the face of.
Well, he's trying to get in his head, and that's what he's doing, right?
Yeah. But yeah, I think they're going to beat Detroit, and then when it comes to the playoffs, I guess we'll see. It's Green Bay in the playoffs. And,
well, it's funny if they make it. The odds are they play San Fran.
Yep.
And so what a nice little Green Bay going in with 0 expectations. Nobody in the world would expect them to beat San Francisco. It would be nice turnaround from all those NFC championships and playoff losses.
Yeah.
Like Kaepernick game still gives me an ulcer.
Well, especially with what San Francisco's put together here the last couple of months, getting McCaffrey out there and Brock Purdy. He played at Iowa State. He was Mr. Irrelevant. I love the storyline with him, but it's time to go home, San Francisco.
When you're down to your 3rd quarterback, my God, for like you talk about being a game manager.
Yep.
That's what. Just hand it off to McCaffrey. 5-yard dumps, 8-yard out routes. You're not going to throw it downfield to Debo. And was Debo healthy? I'm not sure.
I don't think he's probably recovering yet, but by the first round of playoffs, I think he'll be there.
He'll be good, yeah.
But I mean, you still have Ayuk that's out there, and and Kittle's right. I mean, if you have Kittle catching a ball 5 yards and McCaffrey getting 3 yards a carry on minimum, like you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then your defense is solid too. So I'm a little worried about it, but also, there's no expectations for Green Bay at this point.
Well, that's the thing. Green Bay walks in with they got house money. When they were 4-8, they were left for dead.
Yep.
And even amongst Packer fans, the talk was, let's get Jordan Love in there.
Yeah. Let's throw the season out and let's just get a new.
Because at one point, Green Bay had a top 10 draft pick.
Yep.
Because when they were 4-8, they were within that, top 10 area.
Yeah, they were around here. They were talking about the possibility of Rodgers going out the door, and instead of sticking with Love, let's try to get a generational quarterback like C.J. Stroud from Ohio State. Let's see what we can land.
Oh, I don't know. Ohio State and their history of quarterbacks, I don't know.
Yeah. I'd rather see what Love is capable of, but of course I'm not.
The thing with Love is he's been there. This is his 4th year. He's as good as he's going to get knowing that system. You can only play against the practice guys so many times.
Right. Yep.
You need a year of him, basically what Fields had last year with Chicago. You need a year of that with Love. And just to see what he can do. I mean, I remember I go back far enough to Troy Aikman's rookie year. Yep. That was rough.
Yeah.
And some of those quarterbacks, Peyton Manning was not Peyton Manning his first year.
Yep.
You go back to those guys, but you need that year. You need to know what it's like to feel the pressure in the pocket. You need to know what it's like to be under the 2-minute warning and then you're driving 70 yards. That's what Jordan Love needs. Not a 30-yard out route in practice,
Right. Against a bunch of guys who they're never going to make the team. It's a practice squad.
No, exactly. So, I mean, that's what they need. But I mean, think of it from Aaron Rodgers' point of view. Would you walk away from $50 million to play? No.
The next step for Rodgers, I see, is just it'll be a retirement. He'll ride off in the sunset. I don't think he's going to come back. I could see him maybe doing some commentary stuff, but
I don't think he'll do commentary because I don't think he's all that fond of the media.
Well, see, I guess the commentary would be like Pat McAfee. He's got his podcast.
Oh, yeah.
Hawk, something like that. Not
where he controls the story. He controls the narrative. So
right,
he would, create his own podcast or his own YouTube something, or XM radio will pick him up for something, or Sirius or somebody like that.
I could see him doing something like that. As far as playing, I don't really see that, but.
Well, it's funny one more thing. When he walked off the field the last time against the Bears, he was waving to the crowd. Now, was he waving to family and Packer fans, or was he waving goodbye?
That's a good point. I didn't think of that. I just figured he was waving to everybody that he owned.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, what's it? 8 straight wins against the Bears or whatever it is. But, he's walking out like the cock of the walk out of the stadium. Is that like my fond farewell? At least I beat the Bears one more time, like one of those kind of deals.
Beat the Bears, beat the Vikings, and wrapped up with Detroit and walk off.
Go back and, have some ayahuasca or whatever it is. And
Awesome. So let's, I'm going to throw another little curveball here for you. Let's say, weather's not the best right now with, Toronto, or around Toronto, around me, and snow is going to be hitting. I'm going to put you in the driver's seat. Let's say you're listening to music on your phone. Your phone's got enough battery to play one song. You know that snowplows or your tow trucks are coming to get you out of a ditch that you just drove yourself into on accident. You got time for one song to listen to on your phone before your phone dies. What song are we playing?
Well, I finally got one song. I want one that's long. So I'm going to play Mountain Jam by the Allman Brothers.
Okay.
What's that, 26 minutes?
Yep.
Something like that. I want to maximize. I'm that guy that will play a Freebird, the extended version of Light My Fire, all the versions of Stairway to Heaven. Give me those songs. So I'll play Mountain Jam by the Allman Brothers. So at least I can sit warm for 24 minutes and hear music.
I love it. All right, so what we're going to do here is we're going to give everyone a nice little break, and we're going to listen to Mountain Jam by the Allman Brothers. So enjoy it, stay warm.
Or you put down below it says Allman Brothers, Mountain Brothers.
Oh, yeah, it's not Mountain Brothers. That is my mistake.
maybe that is a country band out your way. I've never heard of them.
Mountain, yeah. I got talking when I was typing. Let's see.
That's what happens when you're trying to do 4 things at once.
Yeah, there we go.
There you
Allman Brothers Mountain Jam. We're going to give everyone a little break. Stay warm out there, and hopefully you're not in a ditch listening to this. But if you are, this will be your last song.
At least your heater will keep working for 24 minutes.
Yep. All right, we are. I'm going to let you. This last little bit here is kind of promotion. I'll plug for you, and sure. I'm going to have you pull out a theme song for your podcast. Something that we get listeners in the mood to listen to. One of either the Phantom Galaxy or Land of the Creeps.
So the song I'm going to have you go out there is there's a band called Goblin.
Okay.
And Goblin is an Italian prog rock band that did almost all of the soundtracks for a lot of the Italian horror that was out there, especially a famous director called Dario Argento. Okay. And so look up the theme for Deep Red, Profondo Rosso. That's got the most eerie, atmospheric. It's fantastic. So that's going to go on in the background as I'm talking right now.
Perfect. We write this down.
Yeah. Look up Goblin. Look up Deep Red theme. It's great.
Perfect.
And there's no words. It's all instrumental.
Oh, nice.
There you go.
Perfect. All right.
Okay, so you can catch me if you like music, if you like sci-fi, if you like horror, if you like TV, anime, X-Files. Check me out on the Phantom Galaxy with Nathan Bartlebaugh. Randall will give you the links to that below or somewhere around. Yep. And we have many different offshoots, and we have many different guests. We're very interactive. So Phantom Galaxy podcast would love to have you listen. And the one that I'm on that has a greater listenership, and I love doing, and I appreciate every time I'm on, is Land of the Creeps with Dave Becker, Greg Morgan, Pearl Morgan, and we talk everything horror, everything from dark fairy tales to splatter to paranormal to ghost to anything within the genre, slashers, whatever you want, body horror. And so we would love to check you out. We just did our episode number 300. We're up to like 302. Our next episode is all about our favorite horror posters, movie posters, and movies that are associated with them. So I'm going to put you on the spot, Randall. Yeah. What is your favorite? Doesn't have to be horror. What is your favorite movie poster?
Ooh.
Or I guess it could be VHS cover.
Oh, God, that is a good one. I'll post that one. But one of the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movie posters to me was, it kind of set the tone. It got me. It was one of the first superhero movies that I went out and I saw. I was like, oh, I don't just have to watch comedies. Because before that, it was either Disney movies or like your weird like Anchorman, which I think that was before or after that. But it was all those just weird comedy movies that have no plot, no point to them, but they're just fun to watch. And then I realized, oh, I can watch something other than comedies. I'm excited. I know Spider-Man. I watched the cartoons growing up, and they're making a live action. So when I saw that Spider-Man movie poster from Sam Raimi, the original trilogy, I got excited about it. So for me, that's the first poster that pops in my mind.
Was that the one with Tobey Maguire?
Yeah. Yep. That was Tobey's.
Yeah, and was it Macho Man Savage? Who was the wrestler?
Yep. He was a Bonesaw.
I remember sitting around. I'm a few years older than you, so I was sitting around first or second year university. Had a few pops. The boys throw that in. We just had a blast watching that one.
Yep. Yeah, that was just for what it was at the time. It was an awesome movie. It hit the origin of Spider-Man, and you got to see a lot of good action in it. Where they went after that with the 2 and 3 is a little different. It's where you had your emo dancing Spider-Man as Venom, and I don't know.
I can remember watching Spider-Man on the Electric Company.
Okay.
Back in the day when Morgan Freeman was on the Electric Company on a kids show, way back in the late 70s, early 80s.
Nice. Love it. So we are going to throw out this last song for you to get you guys all set up to check out Bill and all his co-hosts on the Phantom Galaxy podcast and Land of the Creeps. The song is Goblin Profondo Rosso. So make sure you guys check that out. And also check out Bill on Phantom Galaxy podcast and Land of the Creeps. And that's going to do it for us today. Bill, I want to thank you so much. I had a blast talking sports and some movies with you.
And I could talk forever. So thank God you're cutting me off.
We'll have to have you back as a guest later on. Maybe we'll get you around Halloween, and we'll do a deep dive into what horror films I should be watching for the month of October.
Sure. Yeah, I will be like Professor Emeritus.
Love it. Thanks for tuning in, guys. And until next time, we'll see ya.
That's a wrap for this episode of Randrews Live, the podcast. We hope you had as much fun listening as we did making it. Thanks for tuning in on this journey through the music and stories. Don't forget to hit subscribe and find us on all social media platforms at Randrews Live. From there, you can stay up to date on all the latest episodes. And if you have any comments, questions, or ideas for future episodes, hit us up. We love hearing from our listeners. Until next time, keep on rocking, and we'll see you soon.